Hi, Divergent Angler here. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be tying a bull red slash drum rig. I'll have an illustration of it at the end of this video as well. So I'm going to go ahead and begin by first tying the shock leader, which is going to be a 120-pound mono. I cut it at 32 inches, but once I put the crimps on it, it's going to shorten down to 24 inches. That's what I like to use, about a 30-inch total leader, but you can also make it shorter, make it longer, just a preference, but that's what I like to do. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tie it onto a 120-pound rated barrel swivel. Since I'm going to be using crimps on the mono, I'll actually do a loop and then crimp it. But these crimps here will fit this 120-pound mono. They're 1 millimeter diameter, and they are double barrel. So what I'll do is I'll take my mono, pass it through the barrel swivel. Now, one thing that I like to do, not sure if you can catch it here, but I like to cut my mono at an angle. It makes it easier to put through your crimps. Okay, once I have that crimp in there, then I'm going to go ahead and add my swivel. Now, like I was saying, I like to do a double loop on the swivel, especially on the mono. So what you do is you pass it through, and then you pass it through again through the backside. One second, so sorry. The crimp slid down. Okay, so I pass it through once, then I put it through the backside one more time. It'll form a loop. So in that loop, I'm going to pass the tag in through the loop, around, and one more time around. And what that's going to do is going to create a loop. So you can see that loop. What that loop does is that if the crimp ever gives way and you have a fish, the line will actually tighten down on the actual swivel so that you don't lose your actual leader or your fish. So it actually ties a knot on itself if it does slip. So it's a little added protection. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and crimp it. So I've slid the barrel swivel on there before I put it through the swivel. So now I have it on here. So I'm going to pass that tag in through the other end of the crimp, since it's a double crimp. I'm going to move it all the way up where it gets to that knot. Now, when you're crimping mono, you want to make sure you're using some good crimps, but also you want to make sure that you're not crimping all the way to the end, because that will damage your mono. You want to slide down a little bit, and also you want to crimp the two barrels together. You don't want to do them flat, because that'll actually damage your mono as well. So once you have it in there, and you, like I said, you want to make sure you're not right at the end, so you don't damage the mono. You go ahead and crimp it once, slide up, and crimp it again. But once again, you don't want to do it right at the end. So now that I crimped both ends, not sure if you can see, but it actually forms like a little bow tie. So the mono's not being affected. And like I said, if it ever gives way, as you can see, it's actually starting to make a knot on itself when you pull on it. So now that I got that crimp in there, I can go ahead and trim my tag piece off. And like I said, I'm going to be showing an illustration at the end of all the components, so that if I'm not making any sense, you'll be able to follow that diagram I'm going to put here at the end of the video. All right, so now that I have that one end done, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pass 2 beads onto that mono leader. And this is where I'm going to put my snap swivel. The snap swivel is for your weight, and it's a fish finder rig basically, because the actual weight will sit at the bottom. And for those 24 inches, the fish is not going to feel the actual weight. It's going to pull, but once it gets to the end of the swivel, then it'll feel the weight. But for those 24 inches alone, the fish is not going to feel any pressure on it. So here it is. It's going to be sliding up and down. So what you're going to do is you're going to put 2 other beads on the other side. And you don't have to use 2 beads. I just like 2 just for looks. And also these beads here are fluorescent, and once they catch sun or light at nighttime, they will glow. Not that that makes a difference, I think, for the fish. It's kind of neat to see them actually glowing in the dark. So, all right. So once I put my barrel swivel on there, and it's going to be a snap swivel, I'm going to go ahead and crimp the other end of it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pass the 1 millimeter barrel crimp through your line. And we're going to use another 120-pound braided swivel. And once again, we're going to put it in through the front side and then through the back side again. That's going to form a loop. You're going to put your tag through the loop once, twice, then you pull it down. It'll form that loop there, which is just for extra protection from your crimps slipping and you losing your fish. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and slide my barrel swivel up to the top again. Now I'm going to go ahead and crimp it. And remember, when you crimp it, you want to crimp the 2 barrels together, not flat. And also when you're crimping mono, make sure you don't crimp too close to the end because you will cut into your mono and you'll definitely lose a fish that way. So I crimp it once, slide over, crimp it again. It forms a little bow tie. I'm not in focus, so you're not going to really see it too much, but you can probably get the gist there. All right, so now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and cut my tag in off. Just like that. And now we have your mono shock leader. And now we're going to go ahead and add your bite leader, which is that 120-pound coated wire. Coated wire, we're just going to go ahead and put another 1 millimeter barrel swivel. And it doesn't matter which end we're going to crimp it to because they're both the same. So now we're just going to grab this end of the barrel swivel. We're going to give it a little bend here. Since this is cut at about 8 inches, I'll just fold over 1 inch at the top. Go ahead and add my barrel swivel. And your wire is not as delicate as the mono, but you still don't want to crimp too close to the edge, just in case. So I treat it just like if it was mono as well. So I crimp once, slide it over, and crimp it a second time. Just like that, I have my 120-pound coated wire on there. And now I'm going to go ahead and slip another 1 millimeter barrel swivel, crimp, I mean. And for this, I'm going to be using an 8/0 Mustad inline black nickel hook. So once I have that barrel swivel, not the barrel swivel, I keep saying barrel swivel, sorry about that. But once I have my crimp in there, now I'm going to go ahead and put my hook on. And I'm going to do just like the other side. I'm going to come in there, fold about 1 inch over, and that's what's going to form my 6-inch bite leader. I'm going to go ahead and push my crimp into it. Once I have the crimp on there, go ahead and use my crimpers. I'll crimp not all the way to the edge, but a little close. Crimp it once. Slide down. I'll crimp it again. And just like that, we have a Fish Finder Bull Red drum rig. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and also post an illustration of what it looks like and all the different components as well. All right. Hope this was informational and you got something out of it. Thank you.